Russian troops came under fire from the Ukrainian battalion. The brigade overran Russian positions using machine guns and grenade launchers to advance into enemy territory. Ukrainian troops cleared Russian trenches and destroyed enemy positions with heavy fire. Troops of the 3rd Assault Brigade took part in the assault south of Bakhmut. Intense footage showed Ukrainian troops storming the Russian trenches. Gunfire and explosions erupted all around them as they fought their way in. As soon as they entered the trench, a Russian soldier appeared from inside the dugout. The man threw a grenade, and the unexpected force from only inches away. Fortunately, they managed to get out of the way in time before shooting the man dead. His comrades then raised their hands in surrender and were taken prisoner, with Ukrainians saying 3 Russian soldiers were captured in the attack. Many more could have been rescued but refused orders to surrender, they added. In total, 12 people died and 3 others were injured. The 3rd Assault Brigade fought south of Bakhmut. Their goal was to trap the Russians in the city, while their comrades fought to the south. Southward progress is precisely what the Ukrainian soldiers with the call signs Super, Pan, and Tarba seek, driving their American-made Bradley fighting vehicles down a road that is also, they believe, the road to Ukrainian victory. This video shows a failed Russian attack near Bakhmut. The enemy tried to attack the position of the 2nd Assault Battalion, but the Ukrainian army managed to hold its position before the fleeing Russian soldiers were caught in heavy fire by Ukrainian artillery. A Russian tank is damaged while fleeing the battlefield. The enemy soldiers decide to evacuate the damaged tank. Ukrainian kamikaze drones see the commotion and decide to eliminate the fleeing tank and its occupants. The 47th Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces demonstrated the use of self-propelled artillery systems against Russian targets. The destruction of equipment and other enemy personnel was recorded on video, and the targets were recorded in the field and forest areas. Subsequently, self-propelled artillery units of the Ukrainian army eliminated enemy targets. The occupiers, without realizing it, exposed their positions, and Ukrainian artillery fired on them. Successful interaction with the soldiers of the 130th Separate Reconnaissance Battalion had a positive effect. As a result of the shelling carried out by the crew of the self-propelled artillery system, Russian equipment and personnel were destroyed. The Ukrainian counteroffensive in the south continues. Ukrainian troops managed to repel about 15 enemy attacks in the Mariinka area of the Donetsk region. At the same time, Russian troops continued to try to capture the ruins of what was once the city of Mariinka. Later, the advance of the defense forces near Robotyno by more than 1 kilometer was confirmed by the commander of the Operational An Strategic Forces Group Tavria, Oleksandr Tarnavsky. The mechanic driver risked his life trying to bring the tank covered with explosives to the enemy positions at a distance of just 1 shot. The crew of the Leopard 2A6 encountered 2 Russian T-80BV tanks in combat. Despite the enemy's numerical superiority, the German tank won. The Ukrainian crew failed to completely destroy the enemy. However, the Leopard 2A6 managed to damage 1 T-80BV, after which both Russian tanks decided to retreat and left the battlefield. During the battle, the distance between combat vehicles reached 2.8 kilometers. Drone footage from the Ukrainian Territorial Defense Brigade shows Russian self-propelled guns. We can see footage from a Ukrainian FPV drone flying towards a Russian self-propelled gun. The drone managed to attack the Russian gun right in front of and between the turret and the gun body. This caused damage to the Russian self-propelled gun's body armor, and that's when the Ukrainian army sent in another. The FPV drone strikes the Russian vehicle in the same spot, but this time the impact causes a large explosion as the explosive ammunition inside destroys the Russian self-propelled gun. Aerial reconnaissance of the brigade attack discovered the latest Russian tanks firing on Ukrainian positions, and then operators sent FPV drones carrying unknown munitions and managed to attack the Russian tanks in the rear. Ukrainian forces sent another FPV drone to attack Russian forces in the same position, only this time causing a bigger explosion. The Russian troops managed to drive it back several meters, but only after they abandoned their tanks due to the attack. This damage was when Ukrainian forces launched another FPV drone attack that rendered the Russian tanks completely inoperable. Ukrainian army drones hit over 200 enemy equipment units in the past week. Army drone combat teams have destroyed and damaged 200 units of Russian military equipment. Relevant statements were made by the Deputy Prime Minister of Ukraine. The military equipment units hit in the past week were new results of drone forces that Fedorov wrote specifically between September 4, 2023, and September 11, 2023. Ukrainian drone operators destroyed and damaged 35 Russian tanks, 55 armored vehicles, 58 trucks, 36 guns, and 1 multiple launch rocket system. As a reminder, by July 2023, a total of 3,000 Ukrainian servicemen were trained to operate UAV unmanned aerial vehicles. In general, 10,000 UAV operators are expected to complete the second phase of training starting in June 2023. Ukrainian engineers and military have developed a new FPV drone called the KH-S7, which is designed to attack a variety of moving and stationary ground targets. This time the Ukrainian military used an FPV drone as a courier. He carefully delivered the explosives to a Russian tank standing with its hatch open. The drone then flew higher and recorded the explosion on video. FPV drones are usually used as disposable kamikaze drones. However, the Ukrainian Defense Forces managed to destroy the Russian tank while retaining the unmanned aerial vehicle. The destroyed combat vehicle was a Russian T-80BV tank. They are very common on the battlefield. According to Oryx, more than 250 cases of complete destruction of T-80BVs have been documented, dozens of tanks have been damaged and abandoned, and about 100 others have been taken over by the Ukrainian armed forces. Defense forces confiscated a large amount of Russian military equipment. For example, the day before it became known that the trophy of the Ukrainian army was a modernized Russian T-90M Prorov tank, the price of which could reach $4.5 million.